The Xiaomi Ultrabook constantly gets compared against MacBooks because of its design and also because that it does sound a bit of clickbaity. But no one, literally no one batted an eye when Apple started calling their phones Pro and Pro Max, which companies like Xiaomi has been doing for years now. So now when that's out of the way, let's start assessing this beautiful machine Xiaomi has built, which costs way less than a kidney, to be honest. Hey everyone, Mukul here. Now the very first in-hand impressions of this new laptop from Xiaomi was brilliant. They have definitely done a brilliant job in crafting this unibody metal design across all the sides of the laptop, which is made from 6 series aerospace grade aluminum, which does sound all good and handy in case you ever want to fly away with the laptop. The chassis had no flexing issue whatsoever, and even the touchpad felt pretty sturdy. The edges at the corner across the laptop are sharp but won't hurt your hands, arms and other body parts you might intend to use the laptop with for some reason. I also loved how the material finish is on the laptop, and no matter how many times you rub your fingers on it, there would be no visible smudges or prints on it. The weight of the laptop is about 1.7 kilograms, and it is quite apparent when you lift it up. But the weight distribution is quite balanced when you put the laptop on your lap, as that's where most of the laptops are supposed to go anyway. And because they aced this, the laptop passes one hand opening test with flying colors. The rubber feet on the back are taller than on the front, which gives the laptop enough ventilation for the hot air to pass through easily. The charger supplied is pretty lightweight, so the additional weight in the bag isn't going to bother anyone. The variant I got runs an Intel i5 11th Gen SoC with Intel Iris Xe graphics on it. The main chip has 4 cores and 8 threads, and in my opinion, getting the i5 variant instead of i7 kinda and will definitely suit most of the workload this laptop has been built for anyway. The RAM on it is 16GB by default, which runs at 3200 MHz, which is again ample for many, and the laptop won't stutter in even heavy multitasking workloads, or Google Chrome as you wanna call it. The RAM is a single soldered DIMM, and you can't add any extra RAM on the laptop yourself, at least because it's soldered, and unless you're an electrical engineer, you won't be able to figure this out. So don't try this at home or in the office or in parks. The storage is a 512GB NVMe drive by Kioxia with a sequential read up to 2100 megabytes per second and a sequential write to up to 1100 megabytes per second. The drive performed extremely snappy for the 2 weeks I used the laptop for. The port selection is nice and ample, with one Thunderbolt 4 port and a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port, but no Ethernet port on the laptop, so you would need to rely on the Wi-Fi. But the laptop supports Wi-Fi 6, and even when I tested the Wi-Fi speed from my Wi-Fi 5 router, the speed achieved were close to 400 Mbps with a ping of 2 ms, which is actually brilliant. Now comes the biggest USP of the laptop, apart from the excellent build it has, and that is this beautiful 5.6 inches, 16 by 10, 3200 by 2000 resolution screen, which covers an impressive 100 sRGB color gamut on it, and also has brilliant viewing angles on it. When the laptop had just launched, I was reading the specs, and I was most impressed how they managed to put this massive resolution screen, which runs at 90 Hz in this price bracket of about 65,000 Indian rupees, which translates to roughly $900 US. I mean, the screen itself puts the laptop inside the professional territory for many creators. If you're a photographer or a video editor and a graphic designer or an artist, the Xiaomi Ultrabook at its current price offering becomes a very enticing option for the beautiful color accurate screen it has. The bezels across the screen are quite thin too, and the bottom bezel is narrower than the other laptops I have reviewed in the same price bracket. The outdoor brightness was pretty good too, and unless you are viewing the screen from the sides for some reason, the brightness would be sufficient. There was a minimal amount of backlight bleeding, which is common across most of the panels we see or on monitors, so there was nothing to worry here. The trackpad is quite large in size and supports all the multi-touch gestures Windows support. There is ample space for palm rest if you are a long hours typer. The keys are scissor type, and the spacing between them is excellent if you have good sized hands. There are no numpad keys because of this very fact, and thus I have no complaints because it was extremely comfortable to type on this keyboard. The backlight keys are ample bright in complete darkness, but don't expect the lights to be really intense when the room has ample lights, because the room already has ample lights. The backlight turns off when the laptop is idle for a few seconds though. The fingerprint unlock is quite snappy and works 9 out of 10 times. Also, this button can immediately turn off the laptop screen. There's a 720p webcam on the laptop with an indicator right next to it, And this is how the webcam footage will look like, and this is how my voice will sound with the default mics on the laptop. Right now there's not much sound around me, so if I try to emulate some traffic noise, then this is how the mics will behave. So now there's some traffic noise around me, and this is how the mic reception will work. Is there any noise cancellation or not? You be the judge. I'm not sure because I'm recording this footage and I'll immediately put it on the timeline. So yeah, this is how it performs. The speakers are a bit disappointing though. They lack any sort of punch to it, and even their loudness is quite average. Well, the laptop isn't meant to render anything which can consume all the cores available on a machine, but I did a few quick Cinebench R20 tests just out of curiosity, and the scores ranged around 2000 in the last 3 tests. The all-core frequency stayed around 3.1 GHz with the CPU package temperature of 78 degrees Celsius, when the ambient temperatures were around 28 degrees. Looking at these results, I would say the laptop delivers decently well on the thermals expected from an Intel chip, and the sustained clocks also match what Intel promises with the Intel i5-11300H. Xiaomi has tried its best to keep the Intel i5 chip inside the laptop as cool as possible on this form factor by adding 2 heat pipes with a single fan blazing out the heat. This could have definitely been improved upon, but as I would share ahead, why that laptop is already very heavy, and adding more of the heat pipes would have added more weight on a laptop which is supposed to be compact in the first place. As I have observed on a couple of laptops I have reviewed in the past, it's good to see that Xiaomi has at least tried to do better in this regard as compared to them, especially being a non-gaming laptop. The average temperatures of the laptop during normal browsing or media consumption stayed around 48 degrees Celsius when the room temperature was again around 28 degrees Celsius. The 11th gen Intels are quite infamous for their thermals, but good to see the laptop performing within the standards for the workload it is originally built for. The battery took about 2 hours to completely charge from 10% to 100%, as the 70 watt hour 4-cell battery is an impressive number to have on a laptop in this budget, and Xiaomi made sure that the laptop somehow achieves this capacity in it, and I'm pretty sure it weighs slightly more than other Windows laptops because of this fact alone. The battery performance during media consumption with the volume at 50% and brightness at 70% when the laptop was set to better performance mode was about just 8% drop in 45 minutes, which is darn frigging impressive. I also tried editing a 4K 60mbps video file in Premiere Pro, and the laptop performed quite good during my usage with it. There were no drop frames when the timeline quality preset was set to half, but at the full setting it did struggle a bit. But this makes it clear that if you plan to edit 1080p videos on this laptop, then the laptop would have no issues with it. Rendering a 5 minutes 4K clip at 16 Mbps H.264 codec took about 33 minutes, and rendering the same clip at 1080p took about 21 minutes. So if you want to really rely on encoding 4K clips on a Windows laptop, then I would suggest you definitely go with something which has a discrete GPU on it with as much VRAM as possible. But if you have a tight budget around this price range, and if you want a beautiful screen to edit those 4K video clips, then you have to manage with this laptop with some limitations on it. I mean, this can definitely do the job, but you just need to be way more patient if your desired output is 4K videos. The average temperatures during the editing task stayed around 65 degrees Celsius when the ambient was 26.5 degrees Celsius. I also tried working on ZBrush, and because of the 16 GB memory, I didn't face any hiccups for at least the 2.3 million polygons model I tried to work on. The fine strokes on the high density mesh worked smooth without any lag. I was able to run Counter-Strike Go by lowering some settings, and there were occasional stutter, but to be honest, this laptop hasn't been built for that. But anyhow, if you are okay with lowering some of the settings more, this ought to perform even better than this. The overall decent performance and the beautiful screen can also help a lot of artists or graphic designer make fairly color accurate content or art without attaching a better external monitor to the laptop. So in my opinion, that should be considered as a huge bonus when you need to make color accurate content and you want to invest more on a laptop or on a workstation with a better, more color accurate screen or a monitor on it. And in this budget, I do think the recipe is just fine. The laptop's fan hardly makes a noise when you are doing normal typical tasks, but there is a faint hiss of it when all the cores are stressed to their maximum frequency clocks, but in no way I can call it loud. I really love a few facts about the laptop, to be honest, and that sort of makes it easier for me to recommend it for many. The wonderful build quality is something I can't really stress much about, and the screen is just gorgeous, and I can't really stress enough how much content creators like photographers, video editors, and even artists who are into digital painting or texturing. I mean, all of these people are gonna love this laptop at this price point, but I do understand that Xiaomi is not known for selling laptops for really long in India, and that might bottleneck their sales, but it's really a good option. I recently discovered that even Asus has launched an OLED laptop with 100% DCI P3 color gamut coverage under 50,000 Indian rupees or $700 US. But that of course has lesser hardware in terms of screen resolution, the storage, the RAM and the battery. But finally, it is so good to see that brands are now finally recognizing this as a fact that they should stop selling screens on laptops, especially in this price segment, because this is a segment where we typically see a lot of laptops sell globally. Whatever workload I threw on it, the laptop managed almost everything quite easily. But of course, I wouldn't call it a gamer's laptop, as it honestly isn't being targeted to gamers in the first place. Now, because this is a Windows machine, I would have loved seeing Ryzen options too on these laptops, or at least that is something I hope Xiaomi is planning for the next iterations for its laptop family. I mean, I hope so. As I know for a fact that an AMD Ryzen SoC will not only give you better thermal performance, but might just give slightly better performance too. But well, if you are in the market right now and if your requirements match what the laptop has to offer or not to offer, then you can't really go wrong with it, especially seeing that sometimes you can buy it for even cheaper when debit or credit card offers or discounts are going on. So if you end up choosing this laptop and you plan to buy it online, I will post the Amazon links in the description below. They are affiliate links. Won't cost you anything else, but will make me earn. So stay safe, humans. That's all for today. MewBot out. Focus, 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 focus. Focus. Ah!